Hey, it's Marilyn Devonish here from transformationstm.com, and let's talk life-changing breakthroughs and pricing like it's 1999. So just want to tell you what this one is all about, because what I don't want is people coming and going, oh, I never knew, I missed it. And I think, it's been in my e-newsletter list, have posted it on my various pages. However, I know with the Facebook algorithms, things sort of go astray. And so I thought I'd also do a video about it as well, because we're coming up to my 18-year anniversary. Yet I know I don't look old enough. But this time, 18 years ago, pretty much at this very moment, I was just opening the home study pack for one of the trainings that would just change my life and turn things upside down. And that culminated in doing a breakthrough session, which absolutely rocked my world. And so what I've decided to do for the 18-year anniversary is put an offer together for those who would like a breakthrough. For those of you who are previous customers, what I've done, which this is really, I'm not kidding about it. This is the God's honest truth. The price you will pay is what I used to charge back in 2003. However, it's for a limited time and ends on the 30th of this month. But if you're a previous customer, I've created a code where you can get £400 off the price of the breakthrough session. So that went out in my e-newsletter on Sunday. If you're not a previous client, but you're on my e-newsletter list, there's also a 20% off code in the e-newsletter as well. So I just want to kind of just give you a little bit of an overview about the kind of power and impact of this thing. I'll tell you about myself a little bit later, but let me just kind of dive in with what I call a couple of the public breakthrough sessions. This is one, actually, have I got it to hand? It might be handy if I did. Give me 1 sec. I know you can't read what's on the screen, but let me go and grab a copy. Talk amongst yourselves. I'll be back in a sec because I want to read some of it to you. Okay, I'm back. Right, so I just want to share a bit of these with you because I know you can't really read it on the screen, but this is a breakthrough session that I inadvertently did with a journalist from the Metro newspaper. So those of you in the UK would know what the Metro is. And it was supposed to be an interview. The interview wasn't going particularly well. You know, when you just kind of go, look, this person for whatever reason doesn't like me. Now, the interviewer was American. I've got nothing against Americans. Let me just put that into context and finish the sentence. She said, Marilyn, out in America, we are way ahead of you guys. So we've seen it, we've done it, we've got the hat, the mouse mat, the mug, the t-shirt. There's nothing you could tell me or nothing you could show me or nothing you could do that I haven't seen before. When you're being interviewed for a newspaper, this is not what you want to hear. So do you know what? My brain, I just heard myself saying during the interview, because she was there in my flat, she had her microphone, recording device out. I said, I'll tell you what, Deborah. I says, why don't we forget about the interview for now? Let me because trying to explain a breakthrough session where it goes in 4 stages. The first thing is, getting a sense of where you're at and what's going on in your life and what are the challenges. Phase number 2 is, okay, let's look at the limiting beliefs. Let's look at the negative emotions. So things like anger, sadness, fear, guilt, anxiety, I'm not good enough, I'm not worthy, I can't, yada, yada, yada. Stage 3 is actually resolving those things. So that's where the kind of technique, back then I was doing NLP, hypnosis and timeline therapy, and the little bit I knew of HUNA. And then stage 4 is, okay, now we've sorted this stuff, let's now put some new strategies in place and let's put that in your future timeline. It all sounds a little bit out there, particularly when somebody's like, I'm American, I've seen it all. So I said to her, look, forget the interview for now. Why don't we do a breakthrough session? Once we've done the breakthrough session, ask me anything you want. And if you like it, you can write about it. If you don't like it, you can write about it too. She's like, okay. So we kind of, and I says, and don't try and be thinking in interview mode, just let go and do the thing. And so this is a copy of the article that you've just had, I've just shown you on screen. Now, what happened was, this went out, was published in the Metro on the 5th of January. Christmas holiday time, pretty much nobody's about. So it wasn't good circulation time. I just moved into the house that I'm in now. And I come down and my voicemail is full. And because I just moved in, I was thinking, oh, you know, they probably haven't set the line up properly. And then I'm, you know, just about to log into my email. And my then partner phoned up and he says, have you seen the Metro? Have you seen the newspaper today? I says, what? He says, the Metro. And I says, no. He says, you need to get a copy. And this, now bearing in mind, this was back in 2005. So he was at work. He said, I'm going to fax you over a copy. So he faxes me a copy from work. And I look at it, and the first paragraph, after, you know, the kind of the blurb and the intro, and I'm going to read it to you, because when I read it, my heart sank. I was like, holy crap, she really didn't like me. So it said, when I first read therapist Marilyn Devonish's guff on NLP, it sounded like new age hocus pocus. A bit hypnosis, a bit therapy. It's described as a process by which a subconscious mind is rewired to draw to it the things and people that are good for it and away from those that aren't. Now, I read that first paragraph and I was like, oh my God. Anyway, with my hand, you know, hand on heart, and you know, holding my neck, I'm like, oh my God, well, read it. It then transitions into the last couple of paragraphs. It says, I still don't understand how the technique worked so quickly, but it did, dash, subtly, seamlessly, and best of all, with no conscious effort on my part. No longer agonizing and obsessing over Mark, I'm ticking more items off my to-do list. My interests have turned to new projects and new people. And at that point, it wasn't until that point, and I've highlighted the two bits just so you can see them. I had to read the whole thing with my kind of heart in my throat before I got to that last bit. But it was absolutely amazing. And that one article, and what really surprised me about the article, when I listened to my voicemail and then I went onto my emails, inundated. And as I said, it was the 5th of January. People had barely gone back to work, and the weather was terrible as well. Majority, I'd say 80% of the clients that I saw as a result of this article were men, and that surprised me because it's called Breaking Up the Easy Way. It's written by a woman, and I often, you know, my perception up until that point would have been that women are the ones who tend to obsess when a relationship's over. Men just like, yeah, whatever, I'm done, I'm gone. And that really kind of changed my whole perception. And what was lovely about this article is 7 years later it was still sending me clients. So that was kind of an example of just one of the things you could do with the breakthrough session. And another, if we go back even further, and this one really was a real game changer for me. This was an article entitled, Are Antidepressants the Answer? And this was probably around about 2000, gosh, it was probably around about 2003. Really just sort of 2002 to 2003, really just getting started out. I was given the number of a journalist, and a friend of mine says, look, she sometimes reviews our courses. She's really lovely. You might want to talk, because I say, you know, I was looking for a magazine and going, I could do that, I could do that, I could write that. And she says, well, here's a number. So I ring up this journalist who answers her phone. Now, Lisa and I have talked about it publicly on Facebook. She laughed. She's like, babes, there's no way I'd answer the phone now. She said, I just don't have the time. But so I ring up. Lisa answers. I start babbling, going, oh, well, I do this thing called a one-day breakthrough session where you come in the morning and we'll work on limiting release of negative emotions, and whatever the issue is, it will be disappeared by the end of it. And then in a day we're done. It only takes 7 to 8 hours, maybe even 6 more. And I'm just like, bleh, verbal diarrhea everywhere. And in the end, again, and this was before I did the Metro piece, I heard myself saying, look, why don't you come to Watford, do a breakthrough session? If you like it, you can write about it. If you don't like it, you can write about it. And that's how I had the confidence to then say that to the journalist at the Metro. So Lisa comes down, we do the breakthrough session, and this is basically sort of, you know, what she had to say about it. So this is a kind of, again, a laminated copy of that particular article that you've just sort of been looking at the blobby bits. So she says, that's me talking. So she says, so Lisa says, at this point she was a deputy health editor for Here's Health magazine. She says, I took Marilyn's 6-hour breakthrough session. After a messy breakup last year, I sometimes found it hard to get up in the morning and get through the day. I didn't want to take drugs, so I went to see Marilyn. Afterwards, I felt more positive about myself and more able to cope with the situation, and the effects have been long lasting. The benefits of hypnosis and the mind-body connection are becoming widely recognized, and such treatment uses very simple techniques to allow a change of perspective so that issues can be dealt with head on. And that one was the start for me of writing for newspapers, for writing for magazines, because Lisa, of course, then spoke to other people about it, and I started getting calls saying, well, can we have a quote on this, and can you just give us a view on that? And eventually that transitioned into not just giving quotes, but saying, well, can we commission you to write an article? And then that went from, you know, me having my own agony aunt page where people would write in and I would, you know, write back, and then, you know, that then it kind of led eventually to, I was a media expert for several years for Psychologies magazine, and also wrote every month for Spirit and Destiny magazine for probably about 6 years. So at first it was a written column where people would write in, a bit like the agony aunt thing, and then eventually what they did was I would, you know, do telephone coaching sessions with readers, and then they would write about it. And there were 3 of us looking at it from a health perspective, from a mind perspective, body. So that was a real Kickstarter. So not only did the breakthrough session give them a breakthrough, it also kind of gave me the knock-on effect as well. So, you know, what I'm doing with this one, let me see. I might be able to show it to you actually. might not actually. It's not that one. It's this one. So what I have done is I've set up a page, so you'll know when you're at the page because that's what it looks like. In terms of that, so I've reserved some places for previous clients at the kind of £400 off, which means instead of $850, which is the price of the breakthrough session, and actually that's been the same for like 5 years. It's a long time. I have to look at that. But instead of $850, it's $450. And so, but what I might do, let me see. I think actually a couple of things. So I'm going to drop. I think that's the link. Let me see. So I'm going to drop the link in the comments box. But I might be adventurous and do a screen share so I can show you the page, because actually it'll be useful to show you the page because there's a couple of little nuances. It's a little bit different to Eventbrite. This is where you're going to be landing, the app.eventsframe.com, blah, 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 the transformation breakthrough session. And so this is where you're going to be landing. There's a reminder, please put your client code in. So what you do, so there's a description of the actual thing, you know, the breakthrough session, etc., etc., a little bit about what you can expect. So I've shared a bit about these articles. So what you want to do is you click on registration. What it does then, it takes you to the ticket. And what I've also done is a little bit of a combo. For the first 8 or 9 years I was in practice, I just did breakthrough sessions. Come in, you know, we start at sort of 10 o'clock, finish at 5 or 6 o'clock. That's it. Never see the client again. And I've had the experience a year or so ago. Someone sent me an email. I recognized his name immediately. And he was introducing me to someone. He says, look, I'm working at this organization. They're looking for an executive coach. You immediately came to mind. So did the introduction. And then he said, I've been meaning to thank you for the breakthrough session. He said, and his words were that the changes and benefits that came from that day are still rippling throughout my life. And I was thinking, my God, that's been a long time. So I went and checked my database. Sure enough, he had done a breakthrough session 10 years prior. 10 years later, the changes were still rippling through his life. And actually, for those of you who see my business card and my logo, you'll know it's a water drop. And that was my intention, that we do this thing. It's like a catalyst in your life, and everything else in terms of all areas, no holds barred, they can be impacted and they can improve. So what you're going to do here, because this is a new setup, it's a brand new system I started using a couple of days ago. So what you do is you select the number of breakthrough sessions. What then happens is it automatically then gives you the opportunity, if you wanted to do a soul plan reading for half price and do the archetypal profile psychometric test for half price. But of course, that's optional. What you then do there is you add your coupon code. So you type it in there, click OK. This number will automatically change. It will drop down to 450. And then if you've added in any of these ones, you'll see this is what happens here. And then if you thought, "Oh, actually, you know, rather than 280, 140, that's worth it." You might have seen Kathy Hector posting some comments about the archetypal profile that she did with me back in 2011. That's 7 years ago. And she was saying that she recently looked at it again and it is still insightful, and she's going to go back and look at it again. So check my page if you're watching this in real time. That conversation with Kathy Hector is on my page right this minute if you wanted to read that for yourself. And so what it does, this will of course be a lot lower because £400 has to come off of that. And again, you know, it's your choice if you wanted to do that, but those options pop up once you have. If you just went and said, "Oh, I just want to do a soul plan," nothing's going to happen. You just purchase a soul plan and it will drop it in there. But if you wanted to do the breakthrough session, the way I've set it up is that those are half price, and then once you've selected what you want, PayPal and Bob's your uncle, as they say. So that's that. Right, so just so you see it, because it's a new platform. If you're used to Eventbrite, this one is a little bit different. So bring it back to moi. Right, so yeah, that's it really. And for me, let's a little bit about me now. In terms of my experience of the breakthrough session, because when I say to people I was very quiet, I was very shy, I was lacking in confidence, had very low self-esteem. Number one, they normally laugh or guffaw out loud. But what happened with me with the breakthrough session, I went along to this training really not expecting much, because I'd never heard of, no, I had an NLP tape, which I thought was a load of rubbish. So, but I'd never really heard of NLP. Of course, I've heard of hypnosis, because in those days, Paul McKenna used to have a TV show where he'd make people hop on one leg and bark like a dog. So that was my impression of it. Never heard of timeline therapy, never heard of Huna. And when I realized what I'd signed up for, I actually tried to get a refund, because I thought I had signed up for a communication skills course to try and help me with my public speaking, so that I could at least have the confidence to talk to clients and look them in the eye. And so they wouldn't give me a refund. Thank God. I was very angry at the time, trust me, because I'd spent, like, you know, best part of £4,000 on this training. But they said, come to the training. If you don't get massive value and it doesn't impact and change your life, we'll give you a refund at the end of the 7 days, which I thought was a little bit of a con. You now just want to waste my time and try and always bully me into, you know, giving you my money. So for the first 3.5 days, I literally sat at the back with a face like thunder, and at every opportunity I could, my hand would go up and I would be asking questions, not because I was that interested in the answer, but because I was looking for loopholes and ways to catch them out, so that when I went for my refund, I was fully armed. And then about day 3.5, I was like, you know what, they keep going on about playing full out. If I continue with this, looking grumpy at the back, arms folded, you know, rolling my eyes, asking, you know, slightly facetious questions, they're probably going to say, and quite rightly so, that I didn't play full out and I didn't even attempt to participate. So I then decided to jump all in, and, like, you know, because I was going for a bad time. This was all in October 2000. In September 2000, I was that low and feeling suicidal. I phoned the Samaritans. I just found out my partner had an affair. I was not in good health. This is where I'd already been then diagnosed with what was thought to be early onset Alzheimer's. So you name it, it was all going on. And, you know, I'd given up my job to become a chartered accountant. But then when you're landed with the Alzheimer's thing, you can barely string a sentence together. This is not good for professional study. So all of that was going on. And I thought, you know what, I've got so much stuff, so much baggage. I'm just going to put it all on the table. Put your money where your mouth is. And I really wasn't expecting much. By the end of the 7 days, that it was the NLP practitioner, I was completely transformed. I was like, bloody hell. And so I decided that I wasn't going to get a refund. I was going to let them keep the money, and I would then go on and do the master practitioner training, which was 14 days. And the rest, as they say, is history. And towards the end of the master practitioner training, that's when I sort of had the idea, thinking, you know what, my plan was, because I studied to be a chartered accountant. So my plan was to finish the ACCA exams, and I put a goal in my future timeline. That was part of the breakthrough session. I put a goal in my future timeline that in 2 years' time, I would be doing some coaching, training, and therapy. I would be working for myself. I would have dates in my diary a year in advance, and I would be living and breathing this stuff. That's how I put it. 3 weeks later, the company that I did my training with offered me a job. where I was going to be what you call running the room. So I was going to be, everything that happened in that room was down to me. I was the first person in at sort of 6:30, 7 in the morning. I was the last person to leave at 8, 9, 10 o'clock at night, depending on what training we were running, because we used to run NLP practitioners, master practitioners, you know, presenting magically, secret of creating your future, you know, so depending on the training. What they said to me, well, it's going to be a combination of things. As well as the running the room, we'd also like you to do coaching, training and therapy. And we need you to put the dates in your diary for the coming 12 months. Now, anyone who's self-employed, of course, it depends on your industry. But for myself, what I know now of being self-employed, it's very rare to have your diary fully booked out. And I mean, times I'm working back to back 29 days. To have that fully booked out. And it didn't dawn on me until a couple of weeks later. I was at the house of a lovely friend, Gina Bat, and we used to meet up on a Sunday, like an NLP practice group. And a lovely lady and her husband, she said to me, oh, and we're setting the date for the next meeting. And I said, I can't make it. She said, how do you know? It's months away. And I said, oh, I've got dates booked in for the year. She had done my breakthrough session with me. She looked at me, and I looked at her, and then we just both, almost simultaneously, had this moment of recognition. I'm getting goosebumps now when I talk about it. We had this moment of recognition about what I had actually said in my breakthrough session. She went, hold on a minute, because we had our notes with us. We all had our big folders, because it was a practice group. And she read back what I'd said. And I said, I want to be doing coaching, training, and therapy. I want to be living and breathing this stuff. And I've got dates booked out for the year ahead in my diary. That's exactly what happened. I was doing coaching, training, and therapy. When you're running the room, you're in that room 12, 15 hours a day. You're living and breathing it in every sense of the word. And my diary was booked out for the next 12 months. And it was in that moment, I was like, because, you know, timeline therapy was just, how can I say, conceptually interesting to me. But it wasn't something that I put much stock in. I was like, all right, I'll let you have the benefit of the doubt, seeing as my life has changed so much, but I'm really not putting much weight on this one. And it was in that moment, I'm like, holy moly, oh my God. And we were just, it was like the Twilight Zone. It was like, whoa. And that was it for me. That sealed the deal that breakthrough sessions was the thing I wanted to do with people. And I did those solidly, I would say, for the first 9 or so years that I was in practice. What I also did solidly is I would only work with people face to face. No ifs and buts about it, because I just hadn't clocked to me about the fact that energy travels anywhere. Duh. And it was just by some weird fluke. I had got a phone call from, she had an American accent, but you know, England is an eclectic place. So she says, I was in the airport, I picked up a copy of Psychology's magazine, I read your article, I love it, I'd like to book a breakthrough session with you. I was like, no problem, where are you based? She says, Birmingham. I went, and she said, how do I get to you? And I said, no problem. I said, there's a straight, no, she said, how do we do it? How do we do it? And I said, no problem. I said, well, what you want to do is you've got to get a train from Birmingham U Street, and it actually stops at Watford Junction, and I'm 5 minutes walk. She paused, then she said, Birmingham, Alabama, as in the United States. And I was like, oh. So I says, tell you what, I said, I've never done this before, but why don't we do it as a telephone session? Because I don't even think Skype was around then. I said, why don't we do it as a telephone session? If it works, I keep the money. If it doesn't work, I give you the money back. So it's like, fine. So she pays me, credit card, we schedule the session. To this day, that is one of the best sessions I've ever done. And I remember sitting in my chair. It was the had a chair called Stock, and it was like a rocking chair. I remember sitting back in the chair, taking her through timeline therapy, and I'm sat there with my eyes closed, and I said something and I felt her reaction. And so I sat up and I went, let me just stop you there. And then we backtracked on it, and sure enough, that was the you know, I did my NLP trainers training with a guy called Tad James, and he used to talk about the difference that makes a difference. It was that thing. But I got it just by sitting with my eyes closed, and I felt it. And since that day, I mean, I did it slowly. It was a transition. I didn't suddenly go, right, that's it, telephone only. But that was the start of it. And now I would say that 99% of my breakthrough sessions are by telephone or Skype. Very, very, very rare. The only times I'll really see someone in person is if they, let's say, book something like the transformation program, which is the mother of all programs where we do everything. But outside of that, it's like, no, phone, Skype, we're good. And you guys will know, if you've ever been on any of my HUNA and Access Consciousness teleseminars and webinars, you'll know the energy travels. People will listen to that recording 6 months later, feel the energy and be emailing me going, oh my God, I've just listened to your recording, I missed the webinar, or I've just come across it on your resources page on your website, and they feel it, so she was the first breakthrough session that I did transatlantically, and that opened up a realm for me. And the first time I did the remote HUNA, some of you would have heard me talk about it, it was with a friend who was feeling suicidal, and she'd phoned up to say she was going to kill herself, and she was just phoning to say goodbye. And I was working on a proposal at the time, and it had to be in the next day. So I was like, I'm sort of under pressure, because it was something like a £3 million contract. It was big, and there was somebody relying on me to send it to them in the morning so that they could just have their final segment. So I said to her, look, I said, can you hold off killing yourself until tomorrow? And what I'll do tonight is I'll send you some HUNA. So she agrees in her drunken stupor, and I'm like, good. So I'm writing the proposal, gets to bed really late, I fall asleep. Wake up bolt upright at like 3 o'clock in the morning. I was like, oh crap, didn't do the HUNA. So I'm sat in bed, sitting up, and I'm thinking of my friend, and I'm like, do this round of HUNA, go back to sleep. That's it. Next morning, come down, there's an email from her. She's saying, really sorry about last night. She said, I had too much to drink, still not over the breakup, haven't eaten, haven't slept properly for the last few weeks, feel really bad, very embarrassed. But she said, but this is weird. She said, this is the part where you tell me I'm crazy. She said, at 3 o'clock in the morning, I suddenly felt really calm and really peaceful. And I had the best night's sleep last night that I've had in months. And I'm like, oh my God. And it was like goosebumps. I'm like, you're not going to believe this. And then I tell her what happened with me falling asleep and waking up at the same time. And that was my first, even though I knew it intellectually, it was my first real visceral, conscious, in your face. This stuff just travels regardless of, so my clients out in Australia will feel the HUNA. I had somebody recently, I did a higher self therapy piece, and she was out in Australia, she couldn't make the webinar, but she listened to the recording. She's in Australia, exactly the same thing happened with recording. Some of you, lovely Pippa Neve, some of you might have seen the blog or the Facebook post that she wrote for me, and so I could share a experience of doing that 1 hour webinar. So that, my friends, is the breakthrough session. That's why I'm so passionate about it. Now, that said, I don't really offer them anymore because they actually take a lot of time. It takes a full day of my time to deliver them. Plus, there's obviously some pre-work for me because I get people to fill out a pre-session questionnaire. So it's quite a big endeavor. So I probably haven't done a full-on breakthrough session, I don't know, but I had 2015 off, was traveling and stuff. 2016 I had most of that off as well. 2017 definitely didn't do any then. So it's probably about 3 or so years, and actually the year or two before that I didn't do them either because I was just busy doing other things, and they just take, as I said, a chunk of time. And so nowadays it's kind of on request and by appointment if I feel like doing it, and if I want to work with the person, because actually it's quite a long time to spend with someone, so I've got to like them as well, which is why I've really put the offer out first and foremost for previous clients, because I know I already like you, and the people on my newsletter list are cool. And of course, if you're watching this video, I probably like you too, so you can use the link that I've shared in the comments. I'll also add it to the description as well if you wanted to book a breakthrough session. With these sessions, I'm going to be running them during September, October and November, unless otherwise agreed. If you kind of go, look, I want to book one at the anniversary price, however, I don't want to do it till January, that's fine. We just need to talk about it first because I just want to do a bit of planning around it. But yes, so if you're on my e-newsletter list, then use the 20%, because I'm not doing retrospective refunds. Let me just make that clear. I've said it enough. It's in the newsletter. I put it on my Facebook page. I've said it here. So use the code. Use the code. So if you're on my e-newsletter list, use the 20% off code. If you're on my e-newsletter list and you're a previous client, use the code that will take £400 off. And yeah, let's rock and roll. And also, if you're watching this in real time, those offers expire on the 30th of this month. If you're watching it in a few weeks, few months time, then I'll probably leave the link up for that. If you wanted to book one at the regular price, which is £850, but the £400 off, that's just for the next couple of days. So at the moment in real time, it's the 28th. So you've got 2 more days if you wanted to take advantage of that. And all of the codes are in the e-newsletter that I sent out 2 days ago. Cool. And if you've got any questions, if you've got any queries, drop them into the thread and I will cycle back and check this post out. But that's it really. So thank you so much for watching. Also, thank you. And that one of the reasons I'm doing this, because, you know, I put a lot of time and energy into platforms this year in terms of technology and delivery mechanisms and all of that sort of stuff. And I was just sort of thinking, right, once I've got that underway, what I now need to turn my attention to is the thing that really is more important over and above all of that, which is my clients. Because if I haven't got people signing up for workshops, if I haven't got people booking sessions, if I haven't got people, you know, doing the e-coaching programs, then what have I got? Nothing. So this is the first thing that I'm going to do for my previous clients. Also, if you are watching this video and you're a previous client, you haven't responded to the e-newsletter, what I'm doing is, you know, going to be doing some tagging. And so that previous clients will get some deals that are over and above the kind of what I might call the more blanket deals that just go out to the whole e-newsletter. But in order to do that, you've got to make yourself known and let me know that you want to receive those advanced and exclusive notifications. And what I'll do is I'm setting up tags in MailChimp just to flag that. But it really is just a thank you to my previous clients, because without you, I wouldn't be here and I wouldn't be able to do what I do. So I'm really appreciative and I'm really grateful. And as you already know from the e-newsletter, you know, you might have booked a soul plan reading, you might have done the Angel Tarot and Huna Big Clearing Call, and maybe you've attended a photo reading workshop, you've done the Magic and Gratitude program, you've done the Limitless Neurosuccess e-coaching program, you have attended the Practitioner Insider Secrets workshop, you've done the Huna workshop. It's not about what you've done, it's the fact that you are a previous client and you have helped contribute to me being able to continue to do what I do. So it's kind of a thank you for that, and the thank yous will continue hereafter. In, you know, whenever I think of an idea, you guys will be the first to know about it. But I thought this would be a really nice way to say thank you, because the breakthrough session changed my life so much. And when that combined with the photo reading, if there were 2 things I would say to people who might want to check these out, and I'm not just saying it because I do them, I would be saying it anyway, is the breakthrough session and photo reading. Because when I layered on the photo reading, that's the thing that sorted out the early onset Alzheimer's and just like took things to a whole other level. And so I just wanted to kind of say a thank you to people. And I thought that would be a really nice way to do it, to kind of gift you the thing that really changed my life 18 years ago, come October 2018. Cool. Well, thank you for joining me. I will catch you all later. And for those of you who joined me for the photo reading webinar this evening, thank you so much for your comments and your participation. I really appreciate it. And I will email you all when the video has rendered, because it takes a little while to do that. And then you'll be able to watch the replay if you registered and couldn't make it. And for those of you who are joining me for the online Practitioner Insider Secrets workshop, we're going to use the same platform. So you'll be able to see the PowerPoint slides, you'll be able to see me. And what I'm going to do with this one, I'm going to give you the facility. If you wanted to, you don't have to, but you can either come in on your microphone or you can come in on your video camera if you want to ask questions and get feedback in real time. So that one, part 1 is on Saturday, and we'll decide the date of part 2 in terms of coordinating time zones. So if you're joining me for that, on Saturday we go live 4 p.m. UK time, 4 p.m. till 7 p.m. We're going to do the first half, and then we'll choose the date. So I will catch you then if you're joining me for that. That's it really. Oh, it's been a long day, but a fun day. So catch you all later, and I look forward to working with those of you who are going to take the plunge and do the breakthrough session if now is your time for some real, next level transformation. So catch you later. Bye bye.